Let's continue exploring the universe within art and the art behind music. I'm your host, OmLedu, and in this episode, we're going to build the Song of Storms from The Legend of Zelda using note blocks in Minecraft. This has always been one of my favorite Zelda songs, so I really hope that you enjoy. I'll also go over an optional feature that'll make the song repeat one time, but without playing the final notes, so that it sounds more similar to the original. But without that feature, it will sound like this. So it's totally up to you whether you want to include that feature or not. Luckily, it is super duper easy. It is basically just a T-flop. So if you do want to include that feature, this is what it will sound like. Now for this specific example, it will just keep looping infinitely, but on the final design that I'll be tutorialing out in this video, not only did I simplify the redstone, but I also made it to where it won't keep looping infinitely. So with this design, every activation it will play through 2 times, except the second time it won't play the final notes, so it'll be more like the original song. And as always, I would highly recommend playing around with different instruments. It can be a whole lot of fun to try out how different things sound. But for this specific song, my favorite instrument is actually the default one, but I do also like glowstone and clay. So be sure to play around and find an instrument that you really enjoy. But now let's move on to how to build it. So this is going to be the basic build area, but of course, as always, you could build this in a different orientation. That is all totally up to you. And if you don't want to build the repeating feature, then you won't need any of this diorite. But your input will also change depending on whether or not you use the repeating feature. If you don't, your input will be on the left next to the first note block, but if you do, your input will be on the right. And as always, your input can be whatever you want it to be, a button, a pressure plate, or just any redstone activation. Now I did go ahead and lay out where your note blocks are going to be, just so that it's easier to follow along, but we're going to start off by placing our repeaters. Now a repeater has a natural delay of 1 tick, and then every time you poke it, it increases that delay by 1. So a repeater on max delay that you've poked 3 times has a delay of 4. So all of the numbers that you see at the top of the screen is how many tick delay you need in between each note block. So the first one needs 2, so you place a repeater and poke it 1 to set it to a 2 tick delay. And you can build this in any custom orientation that you would like, so long as you still have the correct number of repeaters set to the correct delay in between each note block. You can build this in any direction that you would like to. The only thing that matters is how much delay there is in between each note block. So between the first and second note block, we need a delay of 2, then we need another delay of 2 between the second and third, then a delay of 6, so a repeater on max delay, and then a repeater that you've poked 1 time. Then we need a delay of 2, then another delay of 2, then a delay of 6, but the way I'm building it here, we're wrapping it around the corner. So a repeater on max delay, then a repeater on a 2 tick delay with redstone dust in between them. Dust doesn't affect the delay at all. So especially if you're building this at a custom orientation, you can always use dust to change the direction of the redstone without affecting the delay. But after that, we need a delay of 4, so a max delay repeater, then a delay of 2, then another delay of 2, then a delay of 1, so don't poke this repeater at all, then 2 more repeaters set to a 2 tick delay, so poke these 1 time, then we need a delay of 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then 3, so 1, 2, 3, then another 3, 1, 2, 3, then 2 more 2s, and then a 7 that wraps around the corner. And remember that you don't need to place the instrument blocks first as measurements. You can just use the repeaters to measure it out and then place the note blocks coming out of all of the repeaters, and then fill in any holes that you need to with dust. But then after the 7, we need a 3, so poke it 2 times. But now this second 3 is going to be a little different. If you're not going to use the repeating feature, you can just place a repeater on a 3 tick delay. But if you are going to use the repeating feature, you need a comparator on subtraction mode, which has a 1 tick delay. So then you need a repeater on a 2 tick delay. So a 2 tick delay repeater that you poked 1 time, plus a comparator on subtraction mode. And then a 2 tick delay on the last 2 repeaters. And now we're done with all of the repeater delay. So if you haven't placed in your instrument blocks yet, go ahead and place an instrument block coming out of every single repeater, like you see here. But now it's time to place in our note blocks and tune them to the correct note. So at the top of the screen is how many times you need to poke each note block. So the very first one, you need to poke it 8 times. Then the second one, you need to poke 11 times, then 20, then 8, then 11, then 20. So just go by the numbers on the top of the screen to know how many times you need to poke each note block. And if you mess up along the way, I would recommend breaking the note block and replacing it. Rather than trying to figure out how many pokes you need to get it to 22 or 23, just break it so that you know it's at 0 and that you just need to poke it 23 times now. That will make it much, much easier to figure out. But anyway, this one is 23, then the next one is 22, then the next one is 18, then we have 15, then after the long delay, 15 again, then 8, then 11, then 13, then 15, then after the long delay, 15 again, then 8, then after our comparator, we have 11, then 13, then 10. And that's it for the basic version, so poke the button and give it a listen. So depending on your instrument blocks, that is what it should sound like. Now let's build the repeating feature. So we're going to come over here to our comparator that's on subtraction mode. Again, make sure that little light is turned on so that that comparator is on subtraction mode. And we're going to place a repeater with no delay going into the side of that comparator, then 2 redstone dust behind that repeater, then a comparator going into that dust in that orientation, then a dispenser next to that comparator, and inside this dispenser, we're either going to put a bucket of powdered snow or a bucket of water. Powdered snow is easier but harder to find, whereas if you use a bucket of water, you need to place blocks around the dispenser like so to catch the water so it doesn't flow and break your redstone. So whichever bucket you use is totally up to you. But now we're going to place a repeater with no additional delay coming out of that note block, and now we need a delay of 9 in between this note block and the first note block. So coming out of this note block, we're going to have a max delay repeater, then we're going to turn and place another max delay repeater, and then a repeater with no additional delay for a total delay of 9. Now we just need to fill in all the holes with redstone dust, so from that dispenser all the way over to your very first note block. We're going to break out that button. Now if you want to leave this button right here, this is totally done. But you could actually tie this into any sort of redstone activation as long as it activates the redstone line on this corner in between the dispenser and the repeaters. But if you don't have the button in the middle there, you actually need to break one of these repeaters and change things ever so slightly. So if you have this tied to a redstone machine or to a pressure plate or something like that, you need to break out one of these repeaters and then make sure that the repeater that is left is at a max delay. You only want one repeater coming out of that final note block, but it needs to be on max delay. So again, you can tie any sort of redstone signal as long as it activates any of the dust on this corner right here. So whether you want to use a button, pressure plate, or just tie this into a pre-existing redstone contraption, that is all up to you. So this is what you should end up with. I absolutely love this song, and I hope you do too. But that's all we got for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you did or didn't like about the video. Your feedback would be greatly appreciated and will help me get better in the future. And if you have any questions or requests, simply let me know and I will do my best to help you out. Or if you don't know what to say, just tell me hi. I would love to hear from you. Your support really is appreciated and it helps me grow and keep making these videos. I can't keep doing it without you, so thank you so much. As always, a big shout out to all of my subscribers, all of my supporters, and to you. Thank you so much for watching. Just know that you are totally awesome. And if you're new to the channel, check out some of my farm tutorials or redstone tutorials. I'm sure there is something else that you can find that you enjoy. I would really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again soon. But until next time, I've been your host, OmLedu, hopefully showing you a musical trick or two, and reminding you, as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!